welcome to our virtual parent reception this evening. My name is Lisa Hanselman. I'm the director of the Mountaineer Parents Club here at West Virginia University. And just so you know a little bit more about us, the Mountaineer Parents Club is all about parents and family members. We are a unit of WVU, so I'm actually a WVU employee. And I'm the mom of 2 WVU students, so I do know where you all have been and what you're going through right now. So the Parents Club, we share information. That's what we do best. We're going to ask you all to join if you haven't already. And once you do, we're going to be sending you lots of information. We send emails twice a week, and they are filled with all sorts of deadlines, upcoming events, cool happenings on campus, all things we want families to know about. And it's all stuff that we've sent your student, but they're very busy and they're making friends and they're studying and they're doing a lot of things. So we just go directly to you with all of our information. We have an 800 number that you can call. We'll put that information out in the chat later, but we have lots of ways that you can reach us. The Parents Club also sponsors 3 different Facebook pages that we would like you all to look into and join up. So first, we have the WVU Mountaineer Parents Club page. That's going to be a lot of really good general information, updates, fun things that we're going to share with you there. So please join that. But for all of you incoming freshman families, we have another Facebook page, and that is our family, oops, see, I already messed it up, I'm so sorry. The official families of the WVU class of 2024. And we say official because there are pages out there that aren't official, that aren't connected with WVU in any way and not answered by WVU. So please don't join those pages. Stick with us on the real, actual page so that we can answer your questions. And on that page, you can post a question. You can just read through and see what else everybody else is talking about. Or you can just sort of ask us privately, whatever you need, we're there to answer that. And lots of other parents will be able to comment and help you out as well. And then our last page is the WVU, again, official Families of WVU Students Facebook page group. And that's what we'd like you to join after your student has started here. And that's going to be for our family members, everybody, not just incoming freshmen, but all of our Parents Club members. That's a great way to share information and meet other families and see where everyone's from. So please join us there. Ricky's going to go ahead and put everything in the chat for us. And then that way you'll be able to very easily see what I'm talking about here. So next up tonight, what we really want you all to do is to meet who we have tonight. So tonight's guests, we'll start off and we'll have them introduce themselves and give a little brief information about what they do. So Corey.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Corey Harris. I serve WVU as Dean of Students, and I support your students when they're outside the classroom. And so if you know that there are 168 hours in a week and your students are in classroom 18 hours a week, then I'm part of the team that helps house and feed your students and guide your students and throughout their time at WVU. I'm a WVU grad. I'm also an Ohio State grad and have worked not only at WVU, but at the University of Iowa. So I'll pass it on to the next person, and I look forward to talking to you a little bit more in just a few minutes.
Okay, Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Michelle Payton. I am the coordinator of First Generation Initiatives within the Office of Student Success. We actually fall under the Center for Learning, Advising, and Student Success. But within Student Success, we offer tutoring. We offer different programming, such as the First Generation. Right now, we have a West Virginia Gear Up, First Year Pathways, and Rise WVU. So we're here to help students in all those academic ways, whether it be success coaching or that free tutoring. And just a quick, what do we define as a first generation student? We are looking that neither parent or guardian has a 4-year college degree. And if you're wondering about how many students that entails, typically it's around 23%. So typically over 4,000 undergraduate students in Morgantown are first generation. So you're definitely not alone. There's a lot of you, and I'm just here to help connect you to build your tribe to help you be successful while at WVU.
Thank you. How about Freddie?
Great. Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for coming and joining us this evening. My name is Freddie McDonald. I'm the Director of Advising within the Center for Learning, Advising, and Student Success. So if you do have questions about advising or kind of what that experience is going to be like, please feel free to ask those questions. I was very interested in this topic tonight because I was a first-generation student when going through college as well. And so I understand kind of that navigating of higher education, and that can be a difficult situation. And so I'm happy to answer any questions about that as well. Thanks so much for coming.
Thanks. Now, I know on your screen it says Barbara Mullinex, but actually joining us tonight is Ashley Stewart. So Ashley.
Hi everyone, as was just said, my name is Ashley Stewart. Here at WVU, I'm the Academic Support Specialist for a program called MindFit, which is a holistic student support or academic support program here at WVU. Some of my main priorities are one-on-one direct academic counseling with students in our program, as well as both training and mentoring tutors in our program to ensure that best learning practices are getting out there to the students that we support. But today I'll be kind of fielding any and all questions about tutoring services just in general here at WVU.
Thank you. And Rachel.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Daw. I'm the interim program coordinator for new student orientation this summer. So my main job is to just help run the virtual new student orientation process. But I'm here to answer any questions that you might have regarding that process. So whether it is regarding the online program, any of the other webinars that we're offering, or the advising process as well. I'm happy to help you all. I'm also a WVU alum and also a first generation student, so really excited to be here with you all tonight.
Thank you. Now, on the back end of all of this, we have our support people who are actually the most important here because they're making this all happen. So Ricky.
Hey there, I'm Ricky Huffman, and I am a marketing specialist for the Parents Club, and I also run all of the social media for our Office of Admissions. I am a 3-time WVU graduate, and I'm also a first-generation college student myself. I'm running all of the back-end technical things, so if you do have any tech issues and you have a question, just put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to help. Also, I've been adding links to the chat so that you can copy and paste them and add them to your bookmark favorites of just general websites that we think you should know about, and our Facebook groups as well.
Thank you. And Joel.
Hi, everybody. My name is Joel Brown, and I too work with the Office of University Relations. I am the Director of Brand Experience here, so I work with your students on a lot of the events and experiences that they will partake in during their time here at WVU, and I work very closely with the Mountaineer Parents Club and a lot of our academic recruitment events. So happy to have you all here with us this evening.
All right, thanks. So next up, I think the way we're going to start tonight is that we're going to go back to our Dean of Students, Corey Ferris, and he's going to give us an update on where we are with returning to campus. So Corey?
Thanks, Lisa. So a few weeks ago, you probably read or received an email that President Gee announced that WVU students and faculty and staff will be returning to campus for in-person classes rather than 100% online. And so we've taken a number of steps and have planned an awful lot to be ready for the fall semester. So our students, our faculty and staff are as safe as possible. And we're following the guidelines that are being promoted and supported by the Centers for Disease Control, the governor of the state of West Virginia, and our own WVU Public Health and Infectious Diseases folk. And so as we return to campus, and all students, faculty, and staff will be tested prior to the start of classes. Part of that is we want to see where our students are and where our faculty and staff are, because we know some folks with the COVID virus are asymptomatic, but we want to know as a starting point where our students are so we can provide appropriate support for them. The academic calendar and classes are going to begin as previously announced. We've made some adjustments to our academic calendar though. So classes are going to begin on August 19th. There was a fall break that was planned, but that has been canceled, and classes are going to run through Tuesday, November 24th. That's the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That's when in-person classes will end. Now, after Thanksgiving, there will be one more week of online classes, and then students will take their final exams about that first or second week in December. And I think that's November 30th to December 4th is that final is the 1 week of instruction, and then after that, December must be 7th or so will be I think when final exams will be. Spring semester, then there'll be about after final exams, spring semester classes will not resume until January 19th. Spring break will be canceled, and then we'll end our semester during the usual previously announced time, which is May 7th at the end of finals week. In the classroom areas, one of the things that we're doing is we're paying attention to that social distancing by trying to put some space in between students in the classroom. So our classes are going to be around 50% capacity of what they normally are. So classrooms will not be filled. They will be about half full. And anywhere on campus, whether it's in the classroom or elsewhere, students, faculty, and staff are going to be required to wear masks. And so prior to arrival on campus, or prior to the start of classes, we'll be distributing to all students face masks, a cloth face mask. It'll be a welcome kit. With a cloth face mask, there'll be 2 or 3 disposable masks, hand sanitizer, and a key type of device that students can use to punch elevator buttons or pull doors open. Now, our facility staff is going to do some intensive and deep cleaning each day to help make sure things are as sanitary as possible. But we'll be doing some extra things to help keep our students safe. Our dining halls are going to be open. It's going to be a little different than if you came for a campus tour prior to our closing of our buildings this spring. But in the past, we've had buffet style where students self-serve, and we will be changing that this year where it will be staff behind the sneeze guard, what they call the sneeze guards or the glass, and students will be served their hot meals. We'll also have plenty of options for students to grab and go soup, salad, sandwiches, and other meals. Our dining halls, just as our classrooms are not going to be filled full of seating, we'll be cutting that seating down in half, but we'll be providing other seating area. In our residence halls will be transitioning our students from your family to a new family, their roommate and their student family on the residence hall floor. And so those rooms will be occupied as they were, I'll say, designed, which means if it's a double room, there will be 2 students in that room. So in the residence halls, just like elsewhere on campus, students will be required to wear face masks. There'll be a few exceptions where students won't be required to wear face masks in their inside their residence hall room, when they're obviously using the restroom and showers, and also in the dining halls when they're eating. But if they're moving around or into the lounges or other public spaces or riding the elevators, students will be required to wear masks. We will be doing a staggered move-in for students that are living in the residence halls. In the past, we generally did a move-in over a 1 or 2 day period for the entire campus. We are likely to be spreading that out over 7 or 8 or 9 days. But in a couple of weeks, we'll be releasing that information the week of June 23rd, around that week. So look for that information about the specifics of how students are going to be moving in. Now, part of the college experience we know is how students engage with each other and hang out and have fun and meet other students from around the United States, around the state of West Virginia, around the world. And so we're working hard to make sure we have lots of new and different types of programming. So far, we know that that from the middle of March, when many of us were moved to work at home, and students were sent home to finish out this school year online. We know that students don't like that that virtual environment all the time. But at the same time, we know we have to keep our students safe. So we're going to be doing a mix of programs that will be virtual, but we're also designing up a number of programs where we'll be able to get our students together in much smaller groups, but also safely, obviously wearing masks, but we won't be able to have some large gatherings that we've had in the past, but we'll have plenty of small group activities and programs that they'll do through their residence halls or through commuter student programs or through our other student activities and student organizations on campus. Now, the other thing to know is what happens if a student tests positive. We know that that's likely to happen when we have so many students, 28,000 students. We know that there are going to be students who will test positive from time to time. How are we going to support those students? Well, in particular, our residence hall students, your students if they're living on campus, one of the things that we will be doing is we will be identifying space for them to be isolated so they don't infect other students. Or if it's your student's roommate and they've tested positive, we'll move that roommate to protect your student. Now, students that are in that quarantine or that isolated housing, we will be providing obviously plenty of food, 3 meals a day. We'll have snacks and things like that, but we will be supporting them until the Mon County Health Department and the WVU Student Health and other WVU healthcare folks give us the green light for that particular student to return back to their regular residence hall room and return to the classroom. And with that, Lisa, I'll turn that back to you so we can get started with the next step of our chat this evening.
Thank you. All right, so next up, excuse me, we're going to go back to Joel. He's going to give us the rules of the road and we'll move forward. And remember tonight, this is all first generation folks here who can help answer your questions. So we will be anxious to hear that. Joel?
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. So first rule of the road here, if some of you have seen in the Zoom chat, that is where we're going to answer all of our question and answers. So Rebecca and Elizabeth have already been kicking off the questions, so please feel free to put those questions in there. Some of those we will obviously be able to answer as many as we can online and live right now, but Ricky is also on the back end and some of our folks are on the back end also trying to answer as many of those as we can. So we'll do trivia, excuse me. Man, I need a nap already. We'll do question and answer till about 7:30 this evening. And then at 7:30, we're going to turn it back over to Ricky for a fun activity. For those of you who have used Kahoot, that'll be something that you're used to. But if you haven't used Kahoot, we're going to do a little WVU trivia virtually with the Kahoot app. You can either download that on your phone or go into a browser on your phone or your laptop, whatever device you're not watching us on, and you're going to go to kahoot.it. Again, that's kahoot.it, and then we'll give you a PIN number to log in, and we should be good to go to play a little bit of trivia. At any time that you have any technical issues, please let us know, and we will be happy to answer it. Are we ready to go for a little question and answer?
Let's go.
Perfect. This looks like a question for Corey from Rebecca. Will we be allowed to help our daughter move in? And do we require COVID testing as well? She is attending Adventure, West Virginia.
So thank you for the question. So as family members, yes, you'll be able to help your student move in. And as family members, you won't be required. Our key is we want to see where our students are once we settle them in. So you won't be required to have a test to help your students move in, and we'll take care of that for your students upon arrival. And again, the test won't be at any charge. The only thing that we'll probably put out some guidance on as it relates to family members and others helping students move in is we may put some, I'll say a maximum number of people that can help students move in. Sometimes I know in the past when we've not been in a COVID environment, sometimes 3 or 4 carloads of family members will come, and it's great fun to help and celebrate your students going off to college. But this year we'll probably put some limits, so not so many folks are helping students move in, but absolutely you'll be able to help move in.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. Let's see here. Amy is asking if your student happens to be quarantined, if they are tested positive for COVID, will they be able to continue classes online?
So we're working with faculty on those very specific details because we know that a couple of things that will be taking place. One is we know that we'll have students that will be testing positive, and so we will want them to stay quarantined, and so faculty will be working with students to complete the coursework while they're outside of class. The other thing that we know that we'll likely be sensitive to also is in the past, when you and I probably get the sniffles or maybe have a low-grade fever, oftentimes we just sort of power through and we might go into the office or continue to go to our jobs, wherever that may be, and students will continue to go to class. We're likely to be a little bit more sensitive, and so will your students when they're not feeling well, and likely go to our student health to receive an additional test to see where they stand. And so faculty absolutely will be accommodating to help out students when they're testing positive or maybe not sure yet as they are not feeling well.
Great. Let's see here. We have a question about testing, Corey, as we've had in the past couple nights. Will it be a swab test or a blood test to see if they have already had COVID? So I think we're asking to see if it is an antibody test or if it is a diagnosis test.
Yeah, so it's a swab test, and it's going to be, from what I'm told, it's the anterior nasal swab, which is just the front part of the nose where students will, their nasal cavity will be swabbed. It's not the one that some of the ones we've read about where I say it's like they're testing you and that swab's going up and touching your brain. So this is not one of those swabs. It's the front part of the nose. And the healthcare folks will be actually working with students because the students actually will be doing the swab of just the front, the front part of their nose. So that's the type of test we'll have.
Awesome, great. Lisa, this one I think can go to you here. My daughter is not first gen related, but there only one fridge allowed per room. This is going to be in Summit. My daughter's roommate is bringing her own approved fridge, so my daughter now cannot bring a microwave, and if only one fridge allowed. So they want to just see if they're allowed to have 2 fridges or one per room.
Well, I will grab Corey to make sure I'm correct on this, but we do not permit 2 micro fridges in a room. However, if one is a fridge, just a mini fridge that meets the criteria, then your daughter could rent the micro fridge. We don't want the 2 micro fridges in the room with the 2 microwaves, but if the roommate is bringing just a regular fridge, then your daughter can certainly rent that micro fridge. And just to be clear, no microwaves, single microwaves, are allowed in the residence halls. So just the fridge or the micro fridge.
Gotcha. Thank you, Lisa. Question about move-in, which has been a very popular topic for us. If you all are staggering move-ins, we are needing to get hotels beforehand. So we are looking to see about dates. We're expecting to move her in on the day and stay over at a hotel that night. So they're looking to see when we think we might be starting to move students in for classes.
So thank you for the question. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be announcing the details of move-in, and actually we'll have a sign-up. Students will start to sign up, so we have students scheduled for move-in. And the other thing to know is we typically work with our local hotels to make sure that we get special hotel rates during that move-in period. So look for that information in a couple of weeks because we know some of you are planning not just that hotel stay because either the distance or other reasons, but also So we'll have that information with both hotels and time to move in, so you can schedule your time off from work also.
And also that return to campus website is going to be the best source for folks to go to, parents to check out on a weekly basis, as that's going to be sort of the source for all information for our return to campus. We've got a question here from Frankie Sr. Actually, Ashley, this would go for you. Hello, my son has some troubles with math. He has to take a math class. What are the options for tutoring? Do they have to pay for tutoring? And how do they go about setting up tutoring appointments?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I can definitely resonate with this as someone who just graduated with humanities degrees. Math definitely wasn't my strong suit, and I had to get support for it as well. And really great questions, a very detailed view of everything that kind of goes into tutoring. So we have quite a few options for tutoring here at WVU. We actually have over a dozen options. Some of them are major related, like we have the Engineering Learning Center for students in the Engineering College. We have B&E for students in the Business and Economics College. But then we have more general programs like the Math Learning Center, for example, specifies just solely in math tutoring. And once I get to the end of this, I'm actually going to send a link in the chat to the general tutoring website. So afterwards, you can dig into all the sorts of different programs that we have to really see some more of this information. When it comes to payment, generally, tutoring across WVU comes without a fee. So again, through the website, you can dig into that a little bit more to see exactly what programs that's for, but that is kind of the general consensus. And for setting up appointments, this again varies very much from program to program when it comes to tutoring. Some are solely appointment-based. So you go through a program called Navigate to set up appointments. Or some are just solely drop-in, like at the library, for example. They just have open hours, like let's say 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then you can kind of just wander in anytime in that window and get some support for whatever classes are offering that night.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that information.
Joel,
Michelle.
Can I
Yeah,
add on
go
to
ahead.
that just a
You
little
sure
bit?
can. Yep.
Ashley did a great job. But that free tutoring that we like to talk about, we always like to say we have it free tutoring 7 days a week. And Ricky and Ashley both put that website in there so you can see the different centers because they are all a little bit different. The tutoring within the Office of Student Success is the Academic Resource Center, so typically the library or over in Brooks Tower. And so you can do the one-on-one or that drop-in. And so please go to that website, tutoring.wvu.edu. You're going to see all the different areas and be able to see more. And it kind of breaks out into a schedule of what's available when. But if you have a paper for any class, you can go to the writing studio and you can give them a paper and they'll give you any feedback and help you make changes to it before you turn it in. So there's a lot of great different centers. If you have anyone's a veteran, the Veteran Center also has some tutoring that they do in their office. So it's great that we do have a lot 7 days a week. So don't let your students tell you otherwise.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. We've got a question from Jocelyn for Lisa, I believe. This is going to be actually all over for us, but Lisa, you're the best source for this. Jocelyn is saying there's so much to do and so much information that's coming at them. Is there one single source that we can point her to where she can get all kinds of ideas as to dates that they have to pay for things, parent resources, student resources? Where is the best place for them to locate all the go-to information?
Well, okay, absolutely. So Ricky just put something in the chat for everyone to see. It's a great parents page resource. Now, there's a few other things. First, by joining the Mountaineer Parents Club, you're going to be getting our emails twice a week, twice a month, and we're going to be giving you all sorts of information and reminders of these deadlines and sharing information with you. So please do that. Other than that, check out that site that Ricky has posted there. That's a wonderful way that you all can see a link, and we'll show you all sorts of different options, things that you can link off to, and timelines. And I neglected to mention this before, but as you go through orientation with your student, there is something called College Knowledge. It's a great handbook resource for our family. So please check out College Knowledge. You can download that as a PDF and have it. And it will help you through this entire process as well. And on College Knowledge, there's actually a link for some of the acronyms and the sort of slang that we use here at WVU. So I highly recommend following that link as well. It's a good way to understand what we're saying, and we don't mean to, but we frequently might say things that somebody doesn't fully understand. We refer to maybe a building as the CAC or the CAC, which is the Creative Arts Center. And that's just an example of how we sometimes speak in acronyms. So do check that out on the College Knowledge page. And if you have questions, you just email the Parents Club or ask us on that Facebook page, and we will absolutely be there to help you.
Thanks, Lisa. Corey, I think this one might be for you. Our friend Sonia here is from Maryland, and she's asking who she needs to contact to pay for meal plans. She has tried to reach out to someone and hasn't heard anything back.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. So meal plans, as well as room charges and tuition charges, are going to be put together in a combined bill. And then on that combined bill, financial aid and scholarships are also going to be applied. So in effect, there will be a net at the end, whether it is a net amount that is due to the university or a net amount that's due to the student, because their financial aid fully covers their expenses, plus that pays them for textbooks and other living expenses and things like that. But those student bills are not generated yet. They will be generated on July 2nd, if I remember correctly, and they will be posted to the student's account. And so the student account is accessed through the student portal or through the student's Mix account. They'll use their Mix ID, and the students will be able to see their bill. Now, that might lead me into the next thing is, how do you as a parent see that? And there's a way for parents to see certain information about their students. And one of the things I haven't had the opportunity to talk about is FERPA or the Privacy Act. FERPA is a federal regulation that all of us are living under, if I can say that, or living, that helps us protect your students' information. It's the same Privacy Act that covers your students when they're K through 12, but also it carries with them whenever they're enrolled in higher education in a college or university. So K through 12, you as parents control that information. You get a chance to see it when you want to see it, and who else sees it. When your students enroll in a college, the control of that information goes to the student. And so in order for you to see your students' information, or you may call us and ask us some very specific information, your student has to give us permission to talk about it or share that information with you. And so going back to the student bill, your students can log into that portal and give you permission to access that bill and pay that bill, and as well as see grades and their schedule and a number of other things. So make sure you have that conversation with your student, but the bills won't be posted until July 2nd. And it will be a combined bill for room, board, tuition, fees, everything combined. Is that helpful, Sonia? Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. Freddie, this one might be for you. We received a message. Let's see. Oh, wait. Sorry, wrong message. Let me go back to the one from Elizabeth. You guys are typing in questions and I lost my place here. A money question. If our student is going to pay for year one with no loan, is there any advantage to waiting for year 2 and beyond to get the loan, or should she get a loan first and then use her money to pay for the last year?
So that's a great question. And one of the things that WVU is going to be more strict on moving into the future is the receiving and disbursement of Title IV funds, which are federally funded financial aid. With some of these guidelines that are coming in place with Title IV, it is going to be more strict on students, making sure that they're making progression in their major and taking coursework that's only applicable to their major, and not funding coursework that would be taken as electives or maybe as something in addition to their major. So what my best suggestion would be is, if you have a year of funds saved up, is save that towards the end of your academic career. And then you can kind of have a little bit of freedom to play around with that. If you're further ahead in your progression and in the coursework that is needed for your major, you get a little bit of flexibility to take in that last year, maybe some courses that you've been saving up to take, but won't count against you if you plan on receiving any type of Title IV aid.
Also in the chat, Rachel has just shared with us that the Mountaineer Hub, who is all things financial aid here at West Virginia University, does host a weekly session, and there's still 2 left in the month. So feel free to check that out, follow that link, and sign up for that.
Perfect. I have a question here from Rebecca. We received a message that first year experience, or sorry, Adventure camp students must remain at WVU after they return from Adventure West Virginia. It states that they will move into their dorm room prior to the start of Adventure West Virginia. Does this mean she has to stay at WVU, or can she return to Kentucky after camp and come back to WVU? They will receive COVID testing prior to the camp, I believe.
Yeah, so our hope is that your students stay on campus, because one of the things that we know that's happening is when our students go back home, they may be exposed to the virus. So we're hoping to get that starting point when the students arrive on campus. We hope that they stay on campus and get acclimated to the community, but also, again, we're looking at protecting them and other students as they might want to go back and forth. So we'll be supporting them. The dining halls will be open so that they will be able to stay in the residence hall room.
Perfect. We have another question here. My husband and I never made it through college, which is why we're here tonight. We're worried about our son getting lost in the mix since we come from a small town and we don't really know how to prepare for him or what to expect. What kind of tips could you all offer for students to maneuver about campus and through their courses? This is a great question.
Michelle?
I'm coming. I was going to unmute. All right. So yes, that is a great question. A lot of times if, you know, the parents haven't went to college, or you maybe did an associate's degree, or in my case, my mom did, she went to school once I went to school. And so her experience was very different. She was non-traditional. And so she couldn't really help. And she didn't even finish a 4-year degree. She has an RN. So she only has that 2-year degree. But a lot of things that I tell students are, the biggest thing is that college is a job. And so we have this thing where, you know, for every hour that you are in class, you should spend at least 2 hours outside of class doing schoolwork. Because when you're in high school, you do all your work pretty much during the day, and typically students don't have a lot of homework. And so if you go in and you set up your day to work on that, so if you're in 15 credit hours a semester, and that means you should be in class 15 hours, you should also be studying another 30. So that's 45 hours. And I think sometimes parents don't really understand the amount of time that a student should be dedicating to their academic work. And so that is a good thing. And then students are like, oh my gosh, that's so much. How am I going to do that? And so the one thing, they can come and meet with a success coach within the Office of Student Success. And those are graduate students, and they're here just to help you with time management, building those soft skills, maybe learning how to study, because what you need to do in a history class could be very different than what you need to do in a math class. So they can give you pointers on the best way to take notes and study and work with that time management. What I tell students, and this is usually what really helps them, is the 8-8-8 rule. So if you spend 8 hours a day studying, if you spend 8 hours a day sleeping, because you should, that's what's good for you, we're gonna guarantee that's probably not 8 hours, but and then 8 hours a day you still have for fun things. And so if you look at it that way and you break it down, then it's not so overwhelming for students. And I also tell them when they make that schedule, and that if it's time to study, you go ahead, you make a schedule. We have goodies like this. Wait, well, the background kind of hurts, but it's days of the week and times. We also have little sticky pads, but if you use that and then somebody says, hey, let's go to the rec, or hey, let's go watch a movie. If you were at your real job where you're getting paid, could you just up and leave if somebody said, hey, let's go do this? No. So if you look at your study time and you dedicate those 8 hours each day, then you can be like, sorry, because if you don't, that guarantee the next time you're trying to study, something else is going to happen and something else is going to happen. So do your work first. You still have plenty of time to have fun.
I think I need a little more Michelle Payton tough love in my life. Thank you, Michelle.
I do give the tough love for sure. Ask my students.
So you're telling me we can't go to a movie, is what you're saying.
We can, but only after I do my studying.
Hey, Joel, can I add to that? So Frankie,
Sure can.
Frankie and husband have a little more information. One of the things to know is that there are lots of people around campus that are supporting first generation students. And really and truly, the most important thing is if you're feeling lost, ask the question. Go into any office and ask, because all of us are there to help support. And the other cool thing about WVU is to look for the first generation sticker or card that lots of faculty, staff, and student have posted around campus. Yep, see, Michelle's got it on. But look for that all over campus, because that's an ally, especially wanting to reach out to those first gen students. So Frankie, I hope that answers your question.
Let's see here. We have a question from Amy. My son met with his advisor to pick classes the first semester. He has 14 credit hours. I know that he needs 15 credit hours a semester to graduate in 4 years. Will he be able to make that up if he only has 14 that first semester?
So I can take that one. Absolutely, he can definitely make some time up. That's no problem at all. What I typically tell students is you want 30 hours within that first academic year and 30 hours each academic year. That 30 hours will get you to 120, which is that minimum number of credit hours needed to graduate with a bachelor's degree. Now, there are certain programs out there that do require higher than that 120. So make sure you talk with your advisor. But as long as you're kind of balancing that 30 hours, we typically like to see that 14-16 split. So maybe 14 in the fall, 16 in the spring, or 15-15 in both semesters. But absolutely, he'll be able to make that up. That's no problem at all.
Awesome. Thank you, Freddie. Dana has a question here. If our student has the meal plan but wants to purchase a meal or snack outside of that plan, can he use cash and debit card, or does he need to use the Mountaineer bucks?
Great question. So there's two parts to that. One is a student can use whatever form of payment they'd like. They can use cash, they can use a credit card. But one of the things that comes with all meal plans are something called dining dollars that's already included. And so student can use those dining dollars at any number of the eateries around campus and the food court and coffee shops and things like that. And so before a student pays with a credit card or cash or something like that, I would encourage you to have your student use their dining dollars first if they're not eating in the dining hall, and then use it elsewhere. And a little bit about those dining dollars. Unused dining dollars from first semester roll to the second semester, but at the end of second semester, those dining dollars that are not spent are lost. That does not roll to the following fall semester. So they've got the academic year to spend those dining dollars. So spend those first in the eateries for those things.
And then Jocelyn has here as a follow-up, and the dining dollars are on the Mountie Bounty card that she's asking what actually goes on, how that all goes on the card, which is your student ID.
Yeah, thank you. Well, so let me give a differentiation between dining dollars and, well, first of all, the student ID card is the Mountaineer ID, what we call the Mountaineer ID card. And that Mountaineer ID card has a magnetic stripe, but it also has a chip in it, where students, I'll call them those online dollars, are available to them. Dining dollars are dollars that come with meal plans, and they're only they can only use them in the dining areas, fast food courts. We've got a quick serve shop in Towers called the Lion's Den, where they can buy some other snacks and things like that. But those are a number of places around campus. The other type of money on their ID card is something we call Mountie Bounty. And those are also dollars, but those dollars don't, unlike dining dollars, those Mountie Bounty dollars do not expire at the end of the academic year. They're good year after year and don't expire. Mountie Bounty, students will use that, for example, to do their laundry, to pay library fines. They can also use Mountie Bounty in some select locations off campus, in some off-campus stores and restaurants and drugstores and things like that. So students can learn more about that by looking up the Mountaineer Card website. Ricky, you might be able to post that Mountaineer Card website that shows where Mountie Bounty can be used, as well as dining dollars.
Awesome, thank you, Corey. Rachel Daw, I was going to ask you a question. We have a lull. What could you give parents as next steps from NSO? Any tips or tricks of where they need to continue to watch for updates and information that you might be able to provide them?
Yeah, sure. So one really awesome thing about orientation being online this year is that you kind of get to see everything that your students are going through. And so you get to go through the same online program as them if you would like to. So if you head to nso.wvu.edu, your students have a login there, but then there's also a parent guardian login. So you can create your own account, log in, see the same things that they're seeing, see the same checklist that they're seeing, and make sure that you're following that and that they're following that. All of the information that they will need will be coming to their Mix account. So I feel like everyone's probably said that at this point, but just make sure that you're checking your Mix email that they're checking their Mix email pretty much nonstop, a couple of times a week at least at this point. At the minimum, we're sending everything there as far as their advising appointments, as far as login information that they need to know, move-in information, return to campus stuff. Everything is going to be coming to that Mix email. So just make sure that they are checking that. At this point, your students really need to have moved through the online program and have started their advising process at this point. So once they complete that online program, they should get an email about their pre-advising appointment. And then that will be with an orientation leader, which will help prepare them for their professional advising appointment, which is where they'll really finalize their schedule for the fall semester. And then as Lisa mentioned earlier, we do have financial aid webinars that are going on. We also have housing and dining webinars. There's a honors student panel on Monday. All students are supposed to participate in a WVU 101 webinar, which is where an orientation leader will help connect them with other current students virtually and give them some information that they'll need to know about the fall. But really outside of that, we also just are going to be updating that virtual events page throughout the entire summer with information. So just keep an eye on the orientation website.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. We have a question from Elizabeth. Oh, this is a great question. How late do the buses run, and are they safe? And she's asking, you would let your daughter ride solo at night, right? And then she says that her daughter is hoping to transfer her current job and then get here from there to here and here to there on the buses when she needs to. Who wants to talk about buses in the Live Safe app?
I'll be happy to, if you want me to. So our buses do run late night, and students can ride out not only the university buses that will be running, but also Mountain Line, which is our city county bus system, without paying anything extra. It's included in their student fees. So all they need to do to ride any of our city buses is to swipe it, and they can get anywhere the buses go in the county. And so the buses are running early morning, late at night. I don't know what time that they end late night. I haven't seen this fall's schedule yet. But absolutely the buses are safe. They're well lit. Obviously there's a driver on the bus. There are cameras on the bus. So there's students are safe on the bus. What was the other? Oh yeah. So the other part, yes, great. Safety and live safe. Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Sorry about that. I almost forgot that last part of that question. And so one of the ways that we work to keep your students safe is helping them stay connected to the University Police Department if they need assistance. We've got something called the Live Safe app that your students can download. Actually, you can download that Live Safe app and enter in that WVU as their campus. And that Live Safe app does a number of different things. One is there's a way for the university police and university officials to push out emergency information, whether that's an unsafe situation, or maybe it's we've had an extreme snowstorm and campus might be closed or closing early for that day, or no class for that day. That doesn't happen that often, but that's one of the tools that we use to notify students of urgent announcements. But that Live Safe app also has helpful information, safety tips, and things like that. It also has a way for students to be electronically connected with a roommate or other best friend when they're traversing or walking campus. They can activate it. And it will let a roommate follow them across campus as say they're walking from the library back to their residence hall. And there's a way for students to communicate anonymously or non-anonymously with the University Police Department. They may see something unsafe. Maybe it's an unsafe situation, a fight or something like that, or maybe it's a light that's burned out or a crack in the sidewalk, or the chunk of the sidewalk is missing or something like that. They can take pictures and then send that to the University Police Department, and the dispatch and the communication center will get the appropriate folks looking at that. And so that Live Safe app is a great way for lots of ways to help keep students safe if they want to use it.
Perfect. Thank you, Corey. Let's see here. We have another question from Frankie. Let's see. Earlier you said something about a student health center and with the COVID testing once they are on campus for a while. What is this, and is this only a physical service, or do they have some sort of mental health services as well?
Great question. So yeah, WVU has a student health service, and it is run by our WVU medicine folks, so it is absolutely affiliated with the university. And our student health building is located on the Evansdale campus, next to the Student Recreation Center fields, next to the Student Recreation Center, and it's across the fields from the Four Towers, Bennett Lyon, Braxton Brook. And so it's a full service urgent care type of student health center. They accept student health insurance that students have, and they provide a range of care from, they will be, whether it's COVID testing or maybe they've sprained an ankle or something like that, playing sports. But they have physicians, physician assistant, nurses practitioners, lots of folks to help see students. Also in that building, they're not affiliated with student health. We have our Caruth Center for Counseling, where we provide mental health counseling for our students. So we've got psychologists and psychiatrists available for students. Now, because of COVID, the way that we're going to be delivering our mental health service to our students will be a little bit different. I mean, for some students, if they're in crisis, we absolutely will be doing in-person counseling to support our students. Some of the other counseling, though, will be done a little bit differently. It may be done through telehealth, as well as we'll have some group counseling sessions available to students. But more information coming up in one of our campus conversations, I think, that comes out in July. But we've got a wide range of physical and mental health support and counselors and physicians and doctors and psychiatrists to support your students.
Thanks, Corey.
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw out that, all in this that Corey is talking about, we have Well WVU. And that is our sort of wellness center on campus, where we'll have the students will have the ability to go there and to just lots of different services. They have a program called Chill Well, Sleep Well, all these different ways that students can learn how to take care of themselves while they're here. We ask them to, you know, eat well and sleep well and all of those things, but sometimes in their busy lives, they don't really do that. They can stop by Well WVU or check out that website and learn a little bit more of how to take care of themselves, because up until now, they've really had you to take care of them and to tell them when to eat and what to eat and when to sleep. So this way, this would be a little, would help them learn that themselves and take good care of themselves while they're here. Sorry, Joel. Go ahead.
No, you're good. We have a question from a family from New Hampshire. They weren't originally going to send their daughter with a car, but in the midst of COVID-19, they don't really want her taking a bus to the airport and then waiting while they find her a flight home. That said, we've been told getting a freshman parking spot will be difficult. Anyone want to talk about the storage lot or parking spots on campus?
Yeah, my recommendation, though we don't recommend students bring cars to campus because parking is very limited. If students are able to get parking on campus, it's likely to be in a storage lot, likely by our law school, which is a walk away from our closest residence hall. We've been selling to students parking passes. We typically sell those initial parking passes to our continuing or returning students, and then we open it up around this time of year for first-time freshmen to buy parking passes. So my recommendation is to contact the parking office to see what permits are available, and if they do have a permit, it's likely to be in that law school storage lot. And if those lots are sold out, then there are a number of private lots that are around town that sell parking permits, as well as the city parking garage has parking permits available. And our off-campus housing website has a number of listings for private parking lots in the community.
Awesome. We have another question here. Jocelyn, I can answer this one for you. The COVID testing that everyone has been talking about, she wanted to know if it was paid through insurance or is it free? And it would be free to your student. Let's see here. Michelle, you had a comment you wanted to add to the mix?
Yeah, I see there was a question about the commuters, and Rachel added on about the webinars that are going to be available. But there is a commuter lounge for students. It's in Emore Hall. But also the biggest thing for commuters is getting involved. And so we, in my office, we typically do events, like we were doing game nights and trivia and different things this past year. So the biggest thing is anybody that's first generation, they should be getting emails from me once we get on campus, and they will get those emails about those events. But the biggest thing is not only, you know, in those 8 hours of free time that I talked about earlier, is that making those connections, because when your students make those connections and they have those friends and, you know, they're meeting different people, then they are going to enjoy their time and maybe not get as homesick. And so it's very important that you encourage for your students. Engage is the website, and we'll put it in the chat, but that's where they can see different meetings and all the different clubs and organizations. And so we really do encourage for students to go out there. And if there's a club that they want and it's not on there, you can just ask someone to be the advisor. I was the advisor of the snowboard club for a couple years. I do not snowboard, but I was happy to be their advisor so that they could have that. So lots of opportunities for the students. And just remember, there's no such thing as a silly question. Your regional recruiters are great to answer any questions. You can reach out to me under the Office of Student Success. I'm happy to connect you, and that's my job, is to help you find your person on campus, your group of people. And as Corey said, we have door cards and it says, I was first gen, I'm here for you. And so we really want to make sure that you find those connections, because you may feel comfortable talking to, maybe me about something and Freddie something else. And so we want you to find those people that are best suited for you, whether it be through mentoring or just seeing that sign and knowing that you have an ally that probably knows. And it's okay to struggle. Most people do struggle. College is very different. So we're here to support you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. And at this point in time, I think we will turn it back over to Ricky, and we'll have a little bit of fun here. While Ricky's getting ready, we got a message here from Jocelyn's mom saying, "Thank you for your time and patience. I'm still overwhelmed with the info and sorting it all out one problem at a time." And she says, "Have a good night." So Jocelyn's mom, please make sure you're just reaching back out to the Parents Club with any of those questions and sending emails. And Lisa and Ricky and the team are always really happy to pitch in whenever they can. So please let us know how we can help you. And then let's see, I know you said info on fall sports. My daughter made the Pride. I'm wondering if you know some information on when they would be moving and coming out. That information is going to be forthcoming. We don't have any update from that yet, but that's going to be where you're going to want to check back that return to campus website, and then also have her watch out for direct contact from the band.
Mountaineers go first, and so should you. See how we are leaving our impression on the world by hitting the subscribe button and following us on social media. So let's go.